the Gaza war documentary The Voice of Hind Rajab has emerged as one of the most powerful cinematic statements of the year, winning second prize at the prestigious Venice Film Festival, a major recognition that has propelled the film onto the global stage and intensified international conversations around the human cost of the ongoing conflict. The award marks a significant moment not only for the filmmakers but also for Palestinian storytelling, as the film brings global attention to the tragic death of 6-year-old Hind Rajab, whose final recorded moments became one of the most haunting symbols of the war in Gaza. A film rooted in a single, devastating story, The Voice of Hind Rajab centers on the real-life events of January 2024, when Hind Rajab was trapped in a car in Gaza City after Israeli shelling killed several members of her family. During the hours that followed, Hind remained alive and in contact with emergency responders, pleading for help as fighting continued around her. Audio recordings of Hind's phone calls come at times, terrified at others spread rapidly across social media and international news outlets. Despite assurances that an ambulance was en route, Hind was later found dead alongside the paramedics who had attempted to reach her. The film reconstructs these events with meticulous care, blending archival audio, recreated soundscapes, testimonies from family members, and expert analysis from humanitarian workers and international law observers. Rather than relying on graphic imagery, the documentary uses Hind's voice as its emotional anchor, allowing viewers to experience the tension, fear, and heartbreak through sound and silence. Venice jury praises the film's restraint and power in announcing the award. The Venice Film Festival jury praised The Voice of Hind Rajab for its extraordinary emotional clarity and ethical restraint, highlighting the film's ability to convey immense tragedy without exploitation. This is a film that understands the responsibility of bearing witness, a jury statement noted. It transforms a single child's voice into a universal cry for humanity. Second prize at Venice places the film among a select group of works recognized not just for artistic achievement, but for cultural and political relevance. The festival has long been a platform for socially urgent cinema, and this year's recognition underscores how deeply the Gaza war continues to resonate across global artistic communities. A deliberate, human-centered approach like many war documentaries that focus on military strategy or geopolitical analysis, The Voice of Hind Rajab is intentionally narrow in scope. The filmmakers chose to tell one story in exhaustive detail, believing that the specificity of Hind's experience would resonate more deeply than broad overviews of the conflict. The film avoids narration for long stretches, allowing Hind's recorded voice, sometimes accompanied only by ambient sound, to guide the audience. In moments where audio cuts out, the silence is deafening, emphasizing the uncertainty and terror of waiting for help that never arrives. This approach has drawn widespread critical acclaim, with reviewers describing the film as devastating, unforgettable, and quietly enraging. Filmmakers speak out after the win following the Venice announcement. The film's director addressed the audience with an emotional statement, dedicating the award to Hind Rajab and to every child whose voice has been silenced by war. This film was never meant to be a political argument, the director said. It is a record of what happened to one child. If that feels political, it is only because her life and death exist within a political reality. Producers also emphasized that the goal of the documentary was not to assign blame within the film itself, but to preserve evidence and memory. Hind's voice is not an opinion, one producer said. It is a fact. It exists, and it demands to be heard. A film that has sparked global discussion since its premiere, The Voice of Hind Rajab has sparked intense debate across film circles, human rights organizations, and political commentators. Supporters argue that the documentary is a necessary act of witnessing, giving voice to civilians as children who are often reduced to statistics in war. Reporting. Human rights groups have praised the film for preserving audio evidence that may have legal significance in future investigations into wartime conduct. Some legal scholars have noted that the recordings presented in the documentary could play a role in broader discussions about civilian protection and humanitarian access in conflict zones. At the same time, the film has faced criticism from some quarters who argue that it presents a one-sided view of a deeply complex conflict. The filmmakers have responded by reiterating that the documentary does not attempt to explain the war as a whole, but rather documents a single, verifiable incident. The power of sound over spectacle. One of the most striking aspects of The Voice of Hind Rajab is its refusal to rely on visual spectacle. There are no sweeping battlefield shots or dramatic reenactments. Instead, the film leans heavily on sound design, crackling phone lines, distant explosions, static interruptions to place viewers inside. Hind's experience. Film critics have noted that this choice forces audiences to engage more actively, imagining the unseen horrors rather than passively consuming images. The result is a viewing experience that many have described as emotionally overwhelming, even physically exhausting. It's not a film you watch and move on from, one critic wrote. It stays with you, because it refuses to let you look away. Venice recognition boosts global release prospects, winning second prize at Venice has significantly increased the film's visibility and market prospects. Distributors are reportedly in talks to bring The Voice of Hind Rajab to international theaters, streaming platforms, and educational institutions. Several film festivals across Europe, North America, and the Middle East have already announced plans to screen the documentary in the coming months. Advocacy groups have also expressed interest in using the film as part of awareness campaigns focused on civilian protection and children in conflict zones. Industry insiders suggest that the Venice win could position the film as a strong contender during awards season, particularly in documentary categories where socially urgent storytelling often resonates with voters. A symbol beyond cinema for many viewers, The Voice of Hind Rajab is more than a film, it is a memorial. Hind's name has become emblematic of the civilian suffering in Gaza, particularly the vulnerability of children caught in modern warfare. By centering the narrative on Hind's voice, the film ensures that she is remembered not as an abstract victim, but as a child with fear, hope, and a desperate belief that help would come. As one festival attendee put it, the tragedy is not just that Hind died, it's that she believed she would be saved. A quiet film with a loud impact in a festival known for grand auteurs and cinematic spectacle. The Voice of Hind Rajab stood out for its restraint. Its second prize win at Venice signals a broader recognition that some of the most powerful films today are those that listen rather than shout. At a time when the Gaza war continues to dominate headlines, the documentary offers no easy answers, only a voice, preserved in time, asking for help. And now, thanks to its recognition at one of the world's most prestigious film festivals, that voice is being heard louder than ever.